All right. So how do you factorize advanced trinomials now? What brings us to this conversation of advanced trinomials is the fact that unlike our normal traditional grade 9 level trinomials, the coefficient of a squared, of x squared rather, is different from 1. That's the issue with the advanced trinomials, okay? So trinomials, we are referring to an expression of the form ax squared plus bx plus c, all right? And in advanced, we note that the coefficient of x squared, namely a, is different from 1. In the basic trinomials, if you come back here, we just had ax squared plus bx plus c, and here we note that the coefficient of x squared was always 1. So that's one thing that you will see about all these trinomials. The coefficient of x squared is 1, 1, 1, and 1. So it was all nice and easy. But when it comes to this one, we have to put more thought again into what we're doing. So it's a plus plus, as you can see. So no debate about the signs in this case. I can boldly put up the signs there. Now, the fortunate thing again about this is that the coefficient of x squared is a prime number. So 2 will have only 2 factors, 1 in itself. So you don't have much options. You just have 2x and x there. So 2 and 1 in other words. So now you got to think about the where or how you're going to place the factors of 3. You can't just place them anywhere as in the previous type, okay? You got to think if you're going to put a 3 here, then you got to think of the fact that the moment you multiply 2x by 3, you are getting 6x. And because everything is a plus plus, you are actually adding. So you are already over your limit of 5x. So putting a 3 right there is already a bad idea. So you want to try another option. And instead of putting a 3 there, you are putting a 1. So take note, I just know it's 1 and 3 because, again, 3 is a prime number. There are only 2 options. So there were only 2 possible ways. You could have 3 here and 1 there, or 1 there and 3 there. So just because this one is a sum type, I just look at the outers. And once the outers say to me, you are out of range, I stop. So so now this case, look at this. If I multiply the 2x by 1, I get 2x. I'm not above 5, so I'm good. And then when I multiply 3 by x, I get 3x. Lo and behold, if I add the 2x to the 3x, I get 5x. So I'm happy. This is fully factorized. That's how easy it is, right? Let's try another one. 3x squared minus 7x plus 2. Right. So once again, I will note that this one is a minus minus case. By just looking at my signs, I have a minus plus. So it should be minus minus case. And again, 3 is a prime number, so I will not really debate much with that one. It's 3x and x. Now, this time around, I need factors of 2. That will give me a good combination when I multiply my outers and inners. This combination should add up to a 7. So in this case, I will notice that, let's say you wanted to put a 1 there, maybe a 2 there. You will notice that 3 times 1 is a 3x and 2 times x is a 2x. So you're not going to get to 7. So right there and then you know that, oops, that was a bad combination. So 1 must be there, 2 must be there. And you see you've got 6x and an x. That will definitely give you a 7x. Of course, as you write your answers, there's no need to write all that. I'm putting that for educational purpose so that you understand what is going on here. All right. And this is, by the way, a method which I refer to as inspection, because you play around things and you try and see what would actually work out as best. Let's look at another case. 5x squared plus 2x minus a 3. So this one, we can see clearly it's going to be an opposite situation. And I'm going to be more sensitive towards signs when we get to this one. But again, since 5 is a prime number, I'll just have 5x and x. All right. Now, I'm not going to put my signs right away. because here I don't think of a sum, I'm thinking of a difference. So signs cannot just dictate already what's going to be what in this situation. I need to put 1 and 3 either in those positions so that when I look at my outers and inners, I get a 2x. So let's experiment. If I go 5x times 2x, that is going to give me 10x. All right? No, I should have. That's not supposed to be a 2, of course. That's supposed to be a 1. So let's fix that now. So that's going to be a 5x. All right? And then if I do, so I went for the 1 to get 5x, so I must go for the 3. That's 3x. And clearly 5 and 3 will give me a 2 as long as the 5 is positive and the 3 is negative. Do you see now the importance here of not putting the signs right away because you're working with the difference, all right? So now I know just on that first try, I know that if this is going to go well, then I must have a negative 3x and a positive x. And I think I misled myself there. Just remember, we got to put the coefficients without the x, okay? My apologies on that. A negative 3 and a 1. I was just reasoning in terms of x. Got ahead of myself. Right, so that will be your perfect factorization in this case. Now, this is 7x squared minus 13x minus a 2. So again, 7 is prime, 2 is prime. We're just getting lovely numbers, prime numbers here. 7x and an x. And we're going to again explore and not put a casting stone on our signs. So 2 is a prime number. And I can see right away here that if I have a minus 2 there, then that's going to be a minus 14. And with a plus 1, that is actually going to give me a positive 1. And so minus 14 plus 13 plus 1 will actually give me a negative 13. So this one actually it turned out to be quite nice. I just want to warn you that if you have problems like this, minus 9x squared plus 13x minus 4, then it's advisable that you factor out the negative so that you can have your trinomial in an ideal set manner. So you can see right here that you're going to have minus plus when you factorize. So when you factorize this, you are definitely sure that you're going to have minus minus in both cases. And of course, in this situation, we got to think a bit more because 9 is not a prime number. So we have to think of the various combinations that can lead us to this. So you may go, you may want to maybe try 9 first here and a 1 here and a 4 there. And how do I see that? Because that's going to give me a 9x. That's going to give me a 4x. And just like that, I'm going to have a negative 13 because 4 plus 9 is 13. So that was quite simple because, of course, the more you do this, the more easier it becomes. But it is not always that simple. And so as a result, I prefer sharing this alternative strategy of factorial advanced trinomials. So let's look at an alternative method, which I refer to as the AC method. And we're going to take here, for example, 2x squared minus 11x minus a 21. So the AC method says, okay, you are not confident with inspection, or you just don't want to waste your time. In fact, you want to be secure with what you do. It's basically literally a way of reversing the foiling process. So remember I said your trinomial is of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So what you literally do is you multiply the A by the C. So in this case, that will be 2 times 21, and that will give us a 42. Now, you're going to look out for factors of 42. That will give you, now what type is this? Look at that, minus, minus. So we look at factors of 42, that will give us a difference of 11, all right? So you're going to go 42 divided by 1, 42 divided by 2. The moment you get to 3, you come across 14 and 3. And you realize if 14 is a negative and 3 is a positive, then I'm going to have 11, the middle term. So this method basically allows us to rewrite the middle term in terms of these factors of the product of A and C. So minus 14x plus 3x minus 21. Then what you're going to do is you're going to look for the highest common factor of the first two terms. And this is important. It must be the highest common factor, nothing else. Don't compromise that. So your highest common factor here is 2x. Then you have x minus 7. The beauty of this is once you have x minus 7 in your bracket, then when you factor out the next set, the last two, you are guaranteed there must be an x minus 7. And all I've got to think is what must be in front of this bracket such that when I multiply by x, I will get the 3x and I will get the minus 21. And clearly it is a positive 3. Then what we will do is we will factor out the x minus 7, and in brackets, we will be left with 2x plus a 3. It is called the AC method. And I can assure you, I find it quite solid and secure for most students who only start learning factorization in grade 10. And I would suggest that you try it when you are not, if you are not sure rather, about inspection. The last problem that I'm going to try out as an illustration here will be this one. We have 30 x cubed minus 8x to the 4 plus 8x squared. And you're going to say, but this is not a trinomial. Of course, there's a principal method of factorization called highest common factor. So you got to start with that. You're going to take out your highest common factor. In this case, it seems like it's going to be a 2. I don't think it's going to be something besides that. So if we factor out a 2 and looking at the letters, it does appear x squared will be 1. So 2x squared, then this becomes 15 x, right? Minus 4x squared, right? Plus, then that must just be 4. Right, so check that. That must give you 30x cubed. Check that. Must give you negative 8 to x to the 4. Check that. That must give you 8x squared. So very, very important. Done. Now, the next thing that you're going to do, obviously, your trinomial there is not well ordered. In fact, your squared term is negative. So you still have some work to do here before you can try factorize fully. So let's reorder it. And I just want this to be comprehensive to everyone. Now you realize, of course, you could have picked this from the steps onset, which is why we actually recommend you write your expressions in descending powers of x. If you did that, you would have surely realized that, oops, I don't want the term with the highest exponent to be negative, so you would have factored out a negative as well. But it's still not the end of the world. You can do that even as you work along your trinomial. So every term now will take the opposite sign since we're factoring out a negative. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to work with this trinomial. The A here is a 4 and the C is a 4. So that gives us a 16. So once again, because it's a minus situation, we want factors of 16. That will give us a difference of 15. And this is clearly 16 and 1. We don't have to think a lot about it. So now I have minus 2x squared into 4x squared. And the order doesn't really matter. So I can literally write this as plus x minus 16x. then minus 4. So don't worry about the order. Then minus 2x squared. Now I'm going to create my grouping. So the highest common factor between these two is just an x. So I'll have 4x plus 1. And if I have 4x plus 1, I anticipate a 4x plus 1 for the last two. And clearly a negative 4 must be what is in front of that bracket. And so we conclude now by taking out 4x plus 1 as the highest common factor. And what will be left is an x minus 4. And just like that, you have factorized using the AC method. It does look lengthy. It does look a bit tedious, but I can promise you, rest assured, it is a more safe and secure way to go right on your factorization. Of course, you like inspection, practice it, give it a try. You must be very strong in terms of multiples, of course, to be able to do the inspection real quick. All right, hope you enjoyed this. Cheers.